Hi, this is Lada from astrolada.com, and this is your weekly horoscope for the 10th till the 17th or 16th of September 2018. And this video will be a bit shorter, but this week there are some tense aspects and influences that I want to lead you through and give you the best possible advice so you can cope with them and so you're prepared as well and know what is the best course of action to take. And when we listen to the messages of the stars and when we implement and work with those energies, we can make, even from the most difficult influences, something beneficial and useful. So, what is happening this week? Well, uh, first Venus is going to square Uranus, and then Mars is going to square Uranus. So the whole week, almost basically, is very Uranian in nature. And Uranus is a very unpredictable planet. It creates sudden outbursts, sudden surprising events, basically. And a lot of those things, your plans are not going to be according to expectations. And something might throw you off from your plans. So it's best to be prepared and to know that and not to freak out. And first Venus makes the square and then Mars, but actually they're holding almost the whole week something called Tau square. So basically, Venus is in Scorpio, it's entering Scorpio. Mars will be at the beginning of Aquarius, and Uranus is at the beginning of Taurus, and it's all in the fixed signs. So, who will be most affected, of course, will be the fixed signs, especially people born in the first few days of the fixed signs, which means like early April born Tauruses. Which means October born Scorpios or people with ascendant or moon in Scorpio in the first 10 degrees. Early born Aquarians as well, basically January born Aquarians, or people that have Aquarius in the first 10 degrees at most in the sun or moon or the ascendant there. And of course, we said, and of course, Leos. Leos is there's no planet there, but they're part of this difficult configuration. It's another fixed sign. And especially July-born Leos, they can feel the stressful energies way more, and they can be thrown off with some surprises and unpredictable events that can escalate. And I want you to be careful because these squares they're going to repeat again in October because Venus will come back, will square again Mars. And currently Venus is squaring Mars with each other, but it keeps that square the whole next week, basically the whole week that I'm talking about, plus the square to Uranus. Because this aspect will repeat again. Not exactly the same three planets involved, but one after another, Venus will come back, square Uranus, square Mars again. So something that you do now, next week, that we're talking about, can escalate and can actually, if you're not careful, it can have consequences for a month after that, basically, or even a bit longer, a month and a half, because this aspect repeats. And what can go wrong? Let's see. And we'll speak about each of the signs, but I just want to give you a bit of to feel the energy of this combination. Well, Venus naturally rules relationships, so especially relationships with love or intimate relationship or contractual relationships, and relationship with women in particular. Venus rules women. Can be suddenly disrupted in some way, can be surprising. They can be very exciting because Uranus is an exciting planet. There can be some new developments that happen because Uranus brings something new, but there will be new developments that are a bit unsettling or that take us out of our comfort zone. And they can be, Uranus rules explosions, so they can be like explosive arguments with someone, or you can snap suddenly because Uranus is very willful planet. You do what you want, so something can provoke you and you just fire away, and not only that, but Mars is also squaring Uranus the whole week. So that's it can be like sudden outbursts of anger or violence. So you have to be careful when you're driving a car, for example, because accidents tend to happen more often if you're operating some machinery. Uranus Mars square always escalates mistakes or accidents due to rushing, due to being in a hurry, or also more violent outbursts, saying painful words to someone or painful actions, even sometimes physical anger, like you can hit something or someone, Someone can be more aggressive towards you because it's very hard to control Mars, which is our use of our willpower, our actions. When Uranus is around, our actions become unpredictable. So do other people's actions. That's why I tell you, be careful on the roads. Be careful when you communicate with others. When you are, if they there will be provocation. Someone will stress you. Someone will make you do something different. Someone will possibly surprise you with their own actions that are not according to your expectations, and this can provoke you to fight back, to break some relationships. Uranus is the planet of separate or sudden separations, so they can be like some of you that are in relationships that are difficult already. Things can escalate, and they can be even at some kind of temporary separation, and these influences will be felt for another month after that, because they repeat. Because Uranus can suddenly cut the rope with someone, but this can be used in a good way if you really want to remove someone from your life, that they outdated the importance in your life. Uranus has this ability to cut things. So does Mars. They're both very sharp planets. So it can be the end of some relationship, because Venus is involved as well, that is not productive. And possibly Uranus also rules truth, saying something straight that cuts to the heart. And if you have been holding things down and not saying things in regards to a relationship with someone, now you can no longer hold it, and you can, attack almost and say the things that have been bugging you, because Uranus does not allow for you to basically take anymore, because Uranus is, finally, I want my truth to be out. And even if I risk this relationship or this partnership, I'm going to go and say it, or I'm going to take some actions of some sort. But because it's a difficult aspect, those actions can be quite disruptive, sometimes even destructive in some way, like an explosion. Explosions don't build, explosions destroy, basically. So you have to be more careful this week. If you feel provoked, just remember this video and say, okay, I'm not going mad. And if you really want to remove something from your life, to cut it off, now can be one of those last chances, because it's the last time Mars and Uranus make a square after the last few months. They've done it 2 more times before, and also you can finally cut something, leave it from your life. But if you don't want to leave something from your life, you don't want to fully exclude it, then be careful with those relationships. Be careful with your actions. Don't take reckless, dangerous actions of any sort. But there is a saving grace, because Saturn is kind of sending a good aspect towards Uranus and towards Venus, basically sextile towards Venus and trine towards Uranus. So it's taking off some of the pressure from those difficult T-square that we talked about, this difficult configuration. So Saturn is the way out of those difficult situations, or the best way to react if you want things not to become difficult or escalate into a problem that can even have consequences for a month and a half after that. And what is the way to act? So because we have to do the message from Saturn, whatever the influences of Saturn, they're helping us. Well, Saturn is someone older. Advise someone older. They can give you a good advice how to react if some situation gets complicated and extreme. Or someone who has more experience than you. Saturn is someone who has experience through time and experience, through the school of hard knocks. They have learned something, and they will give you the wisdom and the perspective of the experienced older person. So someone like that can help you. But also you can act like a Saturn, which means you can give yourself best advice and act like a Saturn to mitigate such more explosive, unpredictable, and cutting situations that we're talking about. What does it mean? Well, Saturn is calm. Saturn is serious, very professional. Don't explode like Uranus is the difficult aspect. You don't want to attract that energy. Or if you do, you very quickly have to use that Saturn basically by being calmer, by being more responsible, more accountable. Speak calmly to the person, or almost like professionally. Speak as if you're speaking with someone that you're working with. Or like all the authority figure that you respect. So speak calmly, first, maybe think a little bit before you take action, because Uranus will push you to want to take actions, to send that email, to tell someone to fuck off or whatever, and to flip someone. But Saturn is our way out of this situation. Be calm, wait out a day, before you make the decision, before you write this email, before you send it, or whatever it is that you're doing, before you start fighting with someone. Also be accountable. Accountable is like lay out almost professionally the situation and, explain it, but calmly, and Saturn is also the planet of what else can I give as an advice? Saturn rules older things and experience. So instead of trying to do something totally new this week, because Uranus, the planet that brings new things, is receiving difficult aspects, this new thing that you do, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a new technique of doing something, or even starting something new, like new project, new business, or trying to behave with someone in a very different way than before. If you do that, be careful, because it will trigger Uranus energy. This new thing will trigger the difficult aspect between Uranus, Venus, and Mars, and it will create problems and arguments, and throw off your whole routine or plans in the air. Instead, do something like Saturn. Saturn use an old and tested ways. So Venus also rules money. So instead of investing money in something new, or buying something new, something different, if you want to invest something this week, or if you want to spend money on something, spend it on something that you've done before, that you've used before, that you have experience with. Even simple things like going on entertainment to enjoy yourself in a restaurant, which is again Venus, is pleasures. Instead of trying to experiment and try something new, you might be disappointed, for example. You might be even get angry because of this Uranus. Instead, go to a place that you know already, which is Saturn, something that you've experienced before, somewhere where you've been, and that will create that you'll be happy then. Also, where you invest your money, plus starting new relationships, business or personal. I would advise you this week more to stick to older relationships, so ones that you know are stable, secure, because any new things that you start, especially relationship, which is Venus, will be unpredictable. And even if it stays in your life, because Uranus, when new relationships start, or business contracts or agreements, during Uranus, Venus, or Uranus, Mars, they might either be short lasting, or they can be there just to turn something around in your life in a big way, and then they disappear from your life. Some kind of like an awakening slap, but it will be a slap. It won't be an awakening caress, because Uranus is making those difficult aspects. So it will be an awakening slap, and maybe this event or whatever happened will go away from your life after that, because usually Uranus is impermanent when it has difficult aspects. Or if it's something that will stay in your life, it will always be somehow unpredictable. It will be you need to constantly change, whether it's that relationship, or it might be something that is on and off in your life if you start something new. So again, advice, stick to the old and the tested, which is what Saturn is, in regards to money, in regards to spending, in regards to relationships even. Seek advice from someone more experienced. Saturn, be calm, which is again Saturn, be more professional, more serious. Professional relationships will work out well, unless you turn it personal, and what else is Saturn? Saturn is nature, wild nature. You can go and ground yourself through nature. Do some work. Maybe actually when things get stressful, start doing some routines. Saturn is cleaning, is the cleaner, is the servant. So Saturn is the planet that likes to put order, to organize things and to clean things. So when the universe now throws some wrenches into your bicycle, into your wheels, as they say, instead of starting to panic, which is what Uranus, Mars difficult aspect to do, instead of starting to fire back, start cleaning, just put order in your house, and this will order your thoughts as well, and Saturn will stabilize the situation, or talk with someone older, all those things that Saturn represents you can do. Maybe wear black. Saturn rules black things. Maybe hold something square. Saturn rules a cubic, like a cube, hold something rectangular or square in black in your hand. This will have the stabilizing energies of Saturn that will calm down this storm of Uranus, Mars, aggression, or stresses and surprises. I can give you lots of hacks, but now I can't think of all of them on the top of my head. And now let's do a quick prediction for the 12 signs. First, I'll group them in 3 groups, the cardinal signs. So everyone who has Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, or Libra sun, moon, or ascendant, especially ascendant. Uh, this difficult grand T-square, Uranus, Mars, and Venus, is happening in their financial houses, the second and the eighth, and also there's tension in the fifth and the 11th houses. So for the cardinal signs that I mentioned, they have to be very careful with money, for example. Their money, other person's money, they can be like sudden expenses that come, something unexpected that you have to spend on or pay on. Also, their valuables, the cardinal signs have to be more careful not to spend suddenly, or more careful not to lose or break something, or display something, because Uranus is about suddenly things either breaking or something like that. Also, in investing money or buying something, be careful. Again, don't try to buy new things, and don't do big radical changes with your resources and your money. Stick to the familiar. Remember, Saturn is stabilizing influence. The old, the tested, the familiar, something that you've paid before, something that you've bought before. Also the resources that come to you from other people, your partner's resources. There might be some surprises or expenses that are connected with other people in your life. Eighth house, so again, stabilizing influence is maybe advise someone with more experience. Don't overreact, don't rush, slowly do things because of the Saturn stabilizing influence. Plus, the fifth and the 11th houses can also be triggered by this difficult combination for the cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra. So they have to be more careful with their children, for example. Some surprise can happen in the life of their children that throws them off. They have to be more careful with their lovers, with the romantic partners. Even if you're married, like the romantic side of the relationship, there can be some sudden surprises or unexpected on and off things or outbursts as well, either from children or from lovers and friends. The 11th house is also activated. So some unexpected developments happening in your social circle with other people as well, with friends. For example, you might join a new online group or something, and you might suddenly get surprised that something kind of more stressful, like maybe you get an attack or start fighting with people there. So instead, your social activity should be, if possible, again, with more familiar, with more people that you know, and more familiar groups that you have experience with, previous experience. So be careful with finances and friends and groups and of people, and as well with anything to do with lovers or children or creative project. If you're doing some new creative project in your cardinal sign, try to do again something like a tested, slower, like a tested technique, for example, something about fixing, cleaning up things, which is Saturn in that creative project. Whether it's a new website or whatever, rather than do totally new changes to something that you are putting your intelligence and creativity in. All right, then the next group of people, of course, they will feel it the most, is the fixed signs, especially, as I said, the early fixed signs, but all the fixed signs, basically, if you're Taurus, if you're Scorpio, if you're Aquarius, if you're Leo, there is more tension on you guys because of this, and it's happening in your first house, so you might be the one that does, especially if you're Taurus, for example, you might be the one that does those sudden surprises, but also, no, the four signs, the four fixed signs that I mentioned, they have to be careful that they don't do some sudden rash decisions in their life connected with their physical body, with their health, with their where they want to be in life, with their overall actions that they take, you might feel more irritable, more easy to trigger. Especially also your relationships get affected, your seventh house as well. So others might be pressing your buttons, but at the same time you might be overreactive and you can react back, and this can create problems in your relationship. Unless you really want to cut off some relationship from your life, this can be the culminating part. And this Uranus difficult aspects to Venus and Mars will help you if you're one of the fixed signs, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. If not, just be more cautious. Use that Saturn, like I said. Calm down, wait out, ask someone, maybe carry a cube, like I said, a black cube, so Saturn energy of grounding and stabilizing and professionalism stays with you, so you don't do some crazy outbursts and behaviors. Especially me, I should be careful, because Uranus is square my ascendant, Venus is square it, and Mars is conjunct my ascendant exactly as an Aquarius. So I've already started being trigger happy and even fought with my husband this morning, and now he's gone. I don't know, he ran away somewhere, but I'll apologize to him. I'll listen to my own advice because I never usually stand up. and But yeah, Saturn is about humble yourself, maybe apologize. This is what will help a situation for all the basically people that have the fixed signs in them for the whole next week, and already it's starting. And don't do anything new, anything radical in your relationships if you don't want to destabilize them, unless you want to cut them out, as I said. Plus, it's not only you and your partners or other people that can be stressors in your life, your own actions or other people's actions, but also career and family. Because the 4th and the 10th house are part of this stressful combination as well. So someone can provoke you at work, authority figures, institutions, something. Don't try to do at work something totally new unless you really want to get rid of that thing quickly. Because again, as I said, you tested things, experience of older people, something that you've done before, maybe cleaning up projects of some sort, clean up some project, career project that you're working on, work on it to improve it or to go over it, because Saturn is about repetition and doing something slower or cleaning up something or giving it more structure. But otherwise, they can be like surprises that come from your workplace with some project or with the people there or some authority figures. With family, can be stressing you, suddenly acting out, and even aggression and violence can come up. And I don't mean don't stand up for yourself. Of course, if you're being attacked, you do it, but do it in a Saturnian way. If there is some surprises or out of the blue things happening with your property, with your home, with your family, with your work, with your career, all of those pivotal things of our life, or the 4 houses that are being activated for you, it can come out from anywhere. Instead of being exploding and being trigger happy and starting to fight back everyone, do it in a Saturnian way. You have to stand up for yourself if you're being attacked and if you think things are unfair, because Uranus creates this sense of things are unfair very strongly. It's a very truthful planet. But instead of reacting with Uranus, again, I repeat, react with Saturn. Sit down those people, whether it's your boss, whether either wait it out or sit down your family or your spouse or your, whoever, someone else that you're having a problem with, 7th house of other people, and talk to them slowly, humbly as well, but stand up for yourself, of course, but don't explode, in a calm, slow voice. This is Saturn. Slow, in a professional way. So yeah, the fixed signs have to be most careful of all. But also it can be liberating for some of you. It can liberate you for something that you really need to get rid of from your life. And there's no more, if you're fixed sign, Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio, this week can be something that you say enough is enough, full stop. Mars square Uranus and Venus, you're like, I don't stand this bullshit anymore. I'm eliminating it, or her or them or whatever, or this behavior from your life. But again, do it unless you never want to see this person again and you don't care, then you can do it in a fully Uranian way. There's no turning back, burning the bridges. But if you want just to improve a relationship by saying something that you're hurt about, then do it in the Saturnian, more serious way, humbly. All right, and then there's the last group of signs, which is Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo. These are the mutable signs, as they call them. And for them, this is happening. It's happening in the 12th, 3rd, 9th, and 6th houses. So what they have to be careful with. Well, the 12th house is known as hidden enemies. 6th house is known as enemies. So be careful that there might be some explosion or surprises that come, like maybe some secret that comes out might be about the relationship or whatever. Something hidden can come to the surface. This Uranus for those signs can be one of truth that brings out from a hidden place some truth for you. And those the 12, the 3rd, the 9th, the 6th houses, they have a lot to do with communication. They have a lot to do with, especially the 3rd house, which is being triggered, with colleagues, with people with relatives, with siblings, with people from your work, teammates, playmates. even some friends that you see on a daily basis, clients as well. So be careful that you don't explode there. There might be the need, and also anything to do with schedules is the third house. Your appointments, your schedules, your meetings, your business plan, and your daily business like your daily mundane work that you go around on your days, the third, the sixth house as well. They might be thrown off out of the routine. You might be surprised, as I said. Something new can happen that rearranges your plans or your meetings. In the last moment, you might have a meeting, someone calls you and says, it's canceled, or some business project that, because third house is also communications of any sort. And any communications can be kind of surprising now, can be quite sharp. People can be more hurtful, or you as well, with words, because the third house of words and communications is activated. The sixth house as well of criticism is activated. And sudden sharp words that can cut to the heart, you might be saying them or others. And again, if you don't want to this thing to escalate for a few months, use this Saturn. Be more cautious, be more patient, wait it out, and all those others advice that I gave you at the beginning of the video. I don't want to keep repeating myself. Also, there might be some sudden destabilization or surprises or out of the blue developments connected with trips. Ninth and third house is connected to long distance trip, short distance trip. So if you're one of the mutable signs, there might be sudden surprises while you're on a trip, or maybe like a plane gets canceled, or you miss something, you miss one plane, so you have to make new arrangements. And again, patience, patience. And also the sixth house is your health. So for the mutable signs, health routines, they might be interrupted in some way, but also you might introduce something new, but that is quite that has quite a shocking influence on the body. And sometimes we might need exactly that. You might introduce some kind of food, or cut out some, and it's good, for example, if it's about cutting out some food group or cutting out some bad habit, which is the sixth house, then you can act with this Uranus ruthlessly, but it will throw you off. You just don't expect that it will be easy. It will be, it can happen suddenly. You can cut off bad habits next week from your life. But at the same time, bad routines, bad habits, or something to do with the health, you can cut it out. But at the same time, it will throw off your body or your whole system. So things will be a bit in the air for a week or two, a bit more of a shock to you, Okay, and we talked about the 12th house, the 9th house, any plans with education, with classes. They might be more, because these are educational, intellectual houses. So this can be some surprises in schedules to do with studying, or surprises in regards to any kind of communications, as I said. If there is as well driving, for you in particular, the mutable signs, guys, be careful, because the third house of travels, trips, it's stressed, and the ninth house with Uranus, Mars, and Venus, difficult aspects towards those houses. So just don't take risks like driving after drinking, or road rage. If you can cancel a trip, do it. If not, just be more prepared. I traveled on Mars square Uranus, and kind of, why didn't I plan better? It was happening right on my ascendant, and it's going to be happening for you guys now in the traveling houses. So kind of surprises. The trip went very differently than I expected, with a lot of stress, and we almost crashed twice with the car. So anyway, on the way to the plane. So, as I said again, what stabilizes you is the Saturn, more patience, old and tried and tested ways of working or of doing things. This is the saving grace for all of us. So thank you so much, guys. I will see you next week again, and I'll be preparing the October horoscopes. We're going straight to October. I couldn't do September this month, sorry, as you can see. But I'll be here every week, walking you through that. And by the way, there's still spots on my course for the 12 houses. I'm taking the price off by $50. So whoever wants, just for 3 days, I'm taking and making it 200 only, which is a 6-month course. I'll send you the materials we've gone through already, and we'll carry on together. So you can check this offer for only 3 or 4 days valid. Thank you. I love you.